with the biggest story of the day, and that is the news that DeWanna Bonner is no longer with the Indiana Fever. It was reported last night that DeWanna Bonner had no intentions on returning to the Indiana Fever, and then the news broke today that the Indiana Fever had indeed.
In a shocking act of treachery that rocked the WNBA, Dana Bonner recently left Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. However, her ambitious strategy to pressure her way onto a different squad has completely failed. The league as a whole is now blacklisting her. Her reputation is in ruins, and she has lost a fortune. This is the tale of the immediate karma that resulted from a well-respected veteran destroying her own legacy in a couple of weeks.
She said, "I want to sincerely thank the Indiana Fever for the opportunity to be part of the Fever franchise. Despite our shared goals and excitement heading into the season, I felt the fit did not work out, and I appreciate the organization's willingness to grant my request to move on, particularly at this point in my career. I wish the Fever great success as they continue to build around this dynamic group."
A sterile, corporate-sounding press release was used to announce the news initially. The Indiana Fever declared that Dana Bonner's request for a contract divorce had been approved. Bonner graciously thanked the group for the opportunity in her official statement, but she obliquely stated that she thought the fit did not work out despite their similar ideals. As the young team continued to develop, she wished them well. At first glance, it appeared to be a cordial and professional separation. However, a far more sinister and disorderly tale was concealed below that kind exterior.
If another team claims her off the waivers, she gets her full salary. She gets her full salary if another team claims her off the waiver.
Behind the well-chosen remarks, a respected veteran was deliberately leaving her club in the middle of the season, causing chaos in a locker room that desperately needed stability. It wasn't a fit problem. This decision to leave a team full of young, naive players who had turned to her for leadership was made on purpose, allowing them to deal with the immense, suffocating pressure from the media around Caitlin Clark entirely on their own.
It makes DeWanna Bonner look really, really bad. It makes DB look really, really bad. And it's the fact that she has told all other teams, other than the Mercury, don't sign.
In the WNBA, players are placed on waivers when their contracts expire. This implies that Dana Bonner and her full guaranteed $200,000 pay for the season might have been claimed by any of the league's 11 other teams for 48 hours. It should have been obvious that a three-time All-Star with championship experience would be selected. For any team seeking veteran depth, it was practically a free asset. A successful scorer who may have coached a younger club or aided a contender. The clock began to tick, but the 48-hour window ended, and the league fell into a deafening stillness.
And look, I understand it's where she wants to go. Why didn't she go there in the summer? We know why, because she couldn't have got her max contracts. And by the way, people are like, oh, they can give her the minimum. No, they can't. The Phoenix Mercury can give her a prorated $80,000 salary for the rest of the year. So she's only going to lose about 30K-ish. And she's going to lose about 40, 50K. Whereas they would have been only able to sign her earlier on. Well, they would only be able to sign her for nothing. Because again, we can't forget as well, the Phoenix Mercury cut Sev Usen. The Phoenix Mercury have a bunch of players signed on hardships and a bunch of players that they can cut. Like they literally cap space magicked up. And as soon as cap space magics up for the India or for the Phoenix Mercury,
not a single team filed a claim. After considering the circumstances, all WNBA teams concluded she wasn't worth the hassle, even if it meant doing it for free. Any semblance that this was a friendly breakup was destroyed in this moment. This was a huge red flag that revealed how toxic her departure was, a league-wide rejection. The startling explanation for the league's silence started to surface from behind the scenes as the waiver process came to an end. According to reports, Bonner was planning a blatant power move. She was actively contacting other clubs to warn them not to claim her off waivers, according to insiders. In order to force her way to the Phoenix Mercury, she was attempting to control the entire system. This move, sheer chutzpah, is astounding. Superstars in their prime, such as Jimmy Butler, have been widely condemned for attempting to force their way out of unpleasant situations. However, Bonner, a 36-year-old athlete who was obviously nearing the end of her career, was using the power of a league MVP. Despite having resigned on a legally bound contract, She was acting like a free agent and asking to select and choose her next team. She desired to be able to quit her current position while yet having total control over her future employment. However, there was a fatal flaw in her master plan that would reveal the folly of her wager and make her ideal destination into a possible nightmare. According to reports, the Phoenix Mercury, the team she had strained relations with and alienated the rest of the league to join, was reluctant to sign her. According to sources, the Phoenix front management was quite worried about signing a player who had just shown a startling propensity to leave her team when things went difficult. A youthful, eager bunch of players who had fully embraced the system and were overachieving were being cultivated by the Mercury. For a veteran who just demonstrated that she is unreliable in the face of hardship, why would they jeopardize upsetting that delicate ecosystem? Bonner had left Indiana, thinking Phoenix would be a safe place to land, only to discover that the far shore was not nearly as hospitable as she had conceitedly thought. This astonishing blunder cost her money just as much as it did her reputation. Dana Bonner automatically forfeited the remaining portion of her guaranteed $200,000 contract with the Indiana Fever by passing waivers unclaimed. She signed a prorated veteran minimum contract with Phoenix for the remainder of the season, as was inevitable. She would make about $80,000 from that agreement. The tragic reality is revealed by simple math. She gave up more than $120,000 on her own volition. This was not a wise business move, because she believed her own hype and imagined she could dictate conditions to the entire league. She suffered a huge financial wound that she caused herself. She lost a 6F figure because of her hubris and her botched power play. She made a disastrous error that left league executives and supporters thinking she was extremely self-centered and incredibly stupid. But her reputation and bank account weren't the only things that suffered. Caitlin Clark, the person who most needed her veteran presence, was experiencing the true human fallout. In early practices and preseason games, Bonner was publicly positioned as the seasoned, knowledgeable leader who would guide the rookie sensation through the historic storm of her maiden professional season when she signed with the Fever. Clearly eager to play with her, Clark went above and beyond to establish a rapport and pick up tips from the seasoned player. Rather than offering that advice, Bonner demonstrated to her and the rest of the young roster that you can simply give up and go when the going gets rough. It was a blatant act of professional desertion. A well-respected, experienced teammate effectively told Caitlin Clark that she didn't want to play with her for one of the first times in her illustrious career. That's not being a leader. The league's top player and her club are in disarray as a result of this profound betrayal of trust. This raises the most difficult and contentious issue of all. Was this unexpected action premeditated from the beginning? It's difficult to overlook the extremely dubious timing of it all. In order to take advantage of the unparalleled media attention and focus that came with playing with Caitlin Clark, Bonner first inked a high-profile, lucrative contract with Indiana. She took advantage of the Caitlin Clark effect by playing in sold-out arenas and posing for magazine covers for weeks. Bonner abruptly decided that Indiana wasn't the best fit for her, practically to the day that the Phoenix Mercury miraculously freed up enough salary cap space to sign a player of her quality. It seems less like an impromptu choice and more like a calculating, chilly plot. Take advantage of the Indiana craze for financial gain and publicity, then plan a spectacular departure. As soon as your chosen location is prepared to transport you there. If so, treating a team, its players, and its supporters in such a manner is not just unprofessional, but also incredibly cynical and dishonest. What wasn't mentioned, rather than what was said, may be the most damning evidence of Bonner's wrongdoing. There's an unspoken code in professional athletics. Players tend to stick together. It's common to hear athletes, particularly veterans, defend themselves when they have a disagreement with a team or believe they have been treated unfairly. However, there was nothing once Bonner left. The players in the league sank into a deafening hush. Nobody stood up for her. Nobody agreed with her choice. This lack of assistance says a lot. Her peers and fellow union members did not view this as a morally upright stance for player empowerment, as evidenced by this. They saw it for what it was, a self-centered behavior that betrayed the professionalism of the sport and her teammates' trust. Even people who are aware of the demands of the game couldn't find an excuse for her leaving her squad, as seen by the quiet censure. We frequently applaud athletes for taking charge of their careers in this age of player empowerment. However, Dana Bonner's story makes us all consider where to draw the line between entitlement and empowerment, between standing up for what you believe in and just breaking your promises. She might have just discovered that line, and by blatantly crossing it, she might have irreparably and permanently damaged her own reputation.